In the late 1990s, a group of us used to go on a camping trip every summer. We were just teenagers back then, recent high school graduates, part-time workers, and broke college freshmen trying to enjoy freedom before real adulthood caught up with us. None of us had money for hotels, resorts, or fancy vacations. Our parents were struggling, and we were surviving on small savings from summer jobs, babysitting, grocery store shifts, and tutoring. So instead of beaches and theme parks, we chose something simpler: road trips, tents, cheap food, and the feeling of being young with nothing to lose. That summer, there were 7 of us. We packed everything we had into 2 old cars. 2 worn-out tents, sleeping bags that smelled like dust and smoke, a cooler full of soda and cheap hot dogs, instant noodles, flashlights, and 1 old acoustic guitar that had been passed around our friend group for years. We drove for hours to a remote lakeside campground, far from towns, streetlights, and cell service. The kind of place where the air feels cleaner, the trees feel taller, and the world seems quieter. By the time we arrived, the sky was already shifting into warm sunset colors. We set up the tents on uneven ground, laughing when the poles bent or when someone tripped over ropes. Then we built a campfire, cooked a simple dinner: canned soup, grilled sandwiches, and snacks we had brought from home. As night fell, we gathered around the fire. Someone started strumming the guitar. Then someone else joined in. The guitar passed from hand to hand as we sang, sometimes together, sometimes solo, sometimes off-key but full of emotion. We sang songs about love, freedom, heartbreak, and dreams that felt huge back then. The mood was soft and nostalgic. The lake whispered nearby, its dark waves brushing against the shore. The fire crackled, sending sparks into the night sky like tiny shooting stars. The guitar strings hummed. Our friends' voices blended into one warm, imperfect chorus. It felt like the perfect beginning of summer. Like the world was wide open. Like nothing bad could reach us out there. Just friends, music, firelight, and the quiet promise of a long, unforgettable vacation ahead. Sometimes I honestly feel jealous of my younger self from the late 90s. We were so genuine back then. So open. So emotionally unguarded. Everything felt real: friendships, laughter, music, even silence. We stayed by the campfire until almost 2 a.m. At some point, none of us even wanted to sleep anymore. Someone joked that we should stay up and watch the sunrise over the lake, and suddenly it became a mission, like a small, meaningful adventure. The idea sounded magical, but there were still 2 long hours to survive. Those 2 hours felt endless. The fire burned lower. The air grew colder. Our energy slowly drained away. The excitement faded into yawns, quiet conversations, and long pauses where nobody felt like talking anymore. Sleep started pulling at us hard, and the temperature dropped enough that we could feel the chill even through our hoodies. One by one, the weaker-willed among us began retreating to their tents, claiming they were just going to rest their eyes. Eventually, I admitted to myself that this wasn't my first sunrise and probably wouldn't be my last. So I gave up. I crawled into the tent, curled up inside my sleeping bag, listening to the distant crackle of dying firewood and the faint murmur of voices outside. Within minutes, I drifted off. I woke up to movement. Our tent already had 3 people sleeping inside, but suddenly someone was forcing their way in, awkwardly twisting, squeezing, practically screwing themselves into the narrow space between us. It was Katie. She was trying to wedge herself right into the middle, pushing between sleeping bodies like she needed to be there. Half asleep and annoyed, I pretended not to wake up. I spread my elbows slightly, silently refusing to give up my warm, hard-earned spot. No way I'm giving this up, I thought. I finally got comfortable. But then, I felt something else. A wave of fear radiating from her. Not fake fear. Not playful drama. Real fear. Her body was tense, trembling. Her breathing was uneven. She was genuinely shaken, like she'd just run from something. That's when I gave in and let her settle in the middle. Only then did I realize her legs and feet were wet, cold against the fabric of my sleeping bag, like she'd been standing in water or running through damp grass. But by the time I noticed, it was too late to move her. Katie lay completely still, almost frozen, like she was afraid to move even an inch. Someone muttered a sleepy complaint. We grumbled at her quietly, and then, despite the oddness of it all, we fell back asleep. The next morning, we basically put Katie on trial. Over breakfast, instant coffee, granola bars, and leftover snacks, we started grilling her about what happened the night before. Where had she gone? Why was she so scared? What could have possibly frightened her that badly? At first, her story sounded ridiculous. We laughed. We teased her. We weren't sure whether we believed her or not, but either way, she became the joke of the morning. We kept making fun of her until almost noon. But Katie swore she wasn't making it up. She told us that after most of us had gone to bed, she stayed alone by the campfire. The fire was dying down, the lake was dark and quiet, and everyone else was already in their tents. She said she still wanted to watch the sunrise, no matter what. So she got up and walked toward the shoreline only about 50 feet from our tents. She stood there, staring out at the water, lost in thought. The lake looked endless. Still. Almost unreal in the darkness. And then, she saw someone. A woman in a red coat, standing not far away. At first, Katie assumed it was another camper. Maybe someone from a nearby campsite. Feeling lonely and still half asleep, she decided to go over and say hello, maybe even watch the sunrise together. She said it felt like she wasn't fully in control of herself anymore. Like her body was moving on autopilot. Like her mind had gone foggy. The next thing she remembered clearly was a sharp pain in her legs. Muscle cramps. Tight, painful, sudden. That's when she realized she was standing knee-deep in the freezing lake. The water was ice cold. Her legs were shaking. Her clothes were soaked. And the woman in red, she was still there. Standing at the exact same distance from Katie as before. Not closer. Not farther. Just watching. Then Katie said the woman raised her hand slowly and beckoned for her to come closer. And despite the cold, the fear, the pain in her legs, Katie felt herself stepping forward, almost like she was hypnotized. One step, then another, until something snapped. She suddenly realized something was wrong. Terribly wrong. The woman wasn't standing in the water. She was floating above it. Hovering. And when Katie finally focused on her face, her breath caught in her throat. Because there was no face. Just a smooth, white, round shape like a blank plate. Or a pale, empty mask. A hood from the red coat covered the top of it, hiding any trace of human features. No eyes. No mouth. No expression. Just a featureless white circle, staring at her. Terrified, Katie suddenly realized she was being lured into the water. Not invited. Not followed. Drawn. Like bait on a hook. The realization hit her all at once, sharp, cold, paralyzing. Some instinct deep inside her screamed that if she took even one more step forward, she might not come back. With enormous effort, she forced herself to look away from the woman in red. It wasn't easy. Katie said it felt like her neck resisted, like something invisible was trying to hold her gaze in place. Like breaking eye contact required strength she didn't know she had. But the moment the woman slipped out of her direct line of sight, the pressure eased. Not completely, but enough. Enough to move. Enough to run. She turned toward the shore and tried to run through the freezing water that reached her knees, water that numbed her legs instantly. Every step felt like moving through glue. Her muscles cramped so badly it felt like they might tear. Her legs twitched, locked up, betrayed her. Cold bit into her bones. Her breath came out in short, panicked gasps. Her heart hammered so violently she thought it might burst. Still, she kept going. She said it felt like the lake itself didn't want to let her go. Like the water was heavier than it should have been. Like unseen hands were tugging at her ankles, urging her to turn back. By the time she reached the shore, she was shaking uncontrollably, soaked, breathless, half in shock. And then she heard it. Behind her. A sound that made her blood freeze. Laughter. Soft at first. Then clearer. Not playful. Not human. A distorted, hollow laugh, followed by a quiet, mocking call. like someone whispering her name from far away. Katie didn't turn around. She didn't dare. She just ran barefoot across the sand, through the grass, straight toward our tents, driven by pure survival instinct. Later, when she told us the story, she tried to joke about it. "Guess I was just being dramatic," she said. "Guess I scared myself over nothing." But we all noticed one thing. She never once laughed when she repeated that part. And even years later, she refuses to go near deep water at night. We were still processing Katie's story, half unsettled, half skeptical, when an unexpected visitor walked into our campsite. An older local man, probably in his late 60s or early 70s, approached us carrying a small cooler. He introduced himself casually and offered to sell us freshly caught fish from the lake, said he'd been fishing since dawn. He looked like someone who'd lived there his entire life. Weathered skin, calm eyes. The kind of person who knows every story the lake has ever swallowed. When he overheard Katie retelling what she'd seen, he stopped smiling. Instead of laughing, he let out a tired, knowing sigh. "Ah, that girl again," he muttered. "Guess she hasn't drowned anyone yet this year." We all froze. Someone nervously laughed, thinking it was a joke. But the old man didn't smile. "Every June," he continued quietly, "a young woman dies here. Been happening for years now." He told us that several years earlier, a teenage girl had drowned in that exact spot right near the shoreline, in water shallow enough that it shouldn't have been dangerous. Her death had sparked endless rumors in the nearby town. Some people believed her boyfriend had killed her after she told him she was pregnant. Others claimed she had taken her own life, heartbroken and abandoned. And some said it was just a tragic accident, a slip, a cramp, bad luck. But no matter which version was true, her death never felt like it was truly over. According to local whispers, every summer around the same month another young girl disappears near the lake. Always in June. Always young. Always found weeks later, usually a month or more after vanishing, when the water finally gives the body back. The old man lowered his voice. "Folks around here say she's still looking for love," he said. "Or revenge. Or company." He explained the legend that had formed over the years. People believed the first drowned girl's spirit never left the lake. That she lures other girls into the water, especially those who are emotional, lonely, or vulnerable. Some say she steals their souls. Others say she takes their astral body, leaving the physical body behind, and then walks the world wearing their form for weeks. "Like she borrows their life," the old man murmured. "Gets to feel young again. Gets to live the life she lost." We laughed nervously, tried to brush it off. But the laughter sounded thin, forced. Because suddenly, Katie's story didn't feel like a joke anymore. And the lake didn't feel like just a lake. After that, the old man said quietly, "She lets the body go, and waits another year for a new one." He shrugged, like he was talking about the weather. Like this wasn't horrifying. Like this was just another seasonal routine the lake followed. For a moment, none of us spoke. Then reality hit. And we panicked. There was no dramatic discussion. No brave speeches. No "let's stay and prove it's fake." We just lost it. We tore down the campsite like people evacuating a disaster zone. We didn't bother folding tents, we rolled them up into messy tubes. We shoved sleeping bags, clothes, flashlights, and trash into random bags without caring who owned what. Someone spilled instant soup all over the ground. Someone dropped a backpack and didn't even stop to pick it up. Our dog barked wildly, sensing the fear, tail tucked, pacing in frantic circles. We kept glancing toward the lake. It looked the same. Calm. Still. Quiet. But now it felt like it was watching us. We sprinted down the dirt path toward the small train station like Olympic runners, hearts racing, lungs burning, laughing hysterically out of pure adrenaline and terror. By the time we collapsed onto the train platform, breathless and shaking, we tried to joke about it. "Guess we survived the haunted lake," someone laughed. But nobody laughed very hard. Years passed. Life moved on. We grew up. We moved away. We stopped talking about that trip. But sometimes, especially in June, I remember. I remember Katie's wet legs. Her shaking hands. The look on her face when she said the woman had no face. And I remember something else. When we were running away from the campsite, I turned back one last time. On the shoreline, right where Katie said the woman had stood. I swear I saw a red shape. Still. Watching. Not waving. Not moving. Just waiting. And sometimes I wonder, did we really escape that night? Or did the lake simply let us go? Because it had already chosen someone else?